If it is really challenging for me to go and get a service from one of the offices, how do you think people coming from outside Ethiopia feel?
For me, one of the major problems is the mindset. At the end of the day, any officer or bureaucrat grows in the community.
Yeah.
So the way we see foreigners really matters.
Ethiopia is opening its doors to the world with bold economic reforms.
But on the ground, old habits die hard.
Our guest, Kiya Tsegaye, a leading corporate lawyer,
Joins us to discuss the gap between grand policy and daily reality.
and what it will take to truly welcome the world.
Investors, they don't invest for charitable activities. They don't invest their money out of altruism. At the end of the day, any investor or a business person should get profits, dividends.
So capacity building trainings can actually contribute something towards
Yes.
improving the system, but I don't think it can address the root issue.
I think institutional reform is also crucial. If you go to Rwanda, for instance, within a day, you can set up your company without even moving to another building. When an investor comes, whether it's a local Ethiopian investor or a foreign investor, when somebody set up a company, he is trying to create jobs.
How's practicing corporate law in Ethiopia?
Traditionally, the Ethiopian legal service is equivalent to litigation. I can say 90% of our lawyers are litigation lawyers. So the practice of corporate investment, transactional legal practice is very new in Ethiopia.
How afraid are you of AI? Kiya Tsegaye, a former colleague, very good friend, and a lawyer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, talking about you saying few words, maybe saying that you are a lawyer cannot be actually enough. So tell us a bit about you. And, I want to know the background and the times that you came to the scene to contribute to Ethiopia, but you can start from university, law school, and the journey there. Then we can get into the other things.
Thank you so much. I think you have to be the first person to ask me about my educational journey. Previously, I would just say, my name is Kiya Tsegaye, I'm a lawyer. But now if you ask, yes, so I attended my undergraduate law school at Mekelle University.
All right.
Then I graduated from Mekelle University in 2011 with distinction.
Okay.
Then I worked in one of, by that time, big law firm. I can say the biggest. It's called TGMB Law Office, Tashoma Gebra Mariam
All right.
Bokal Law Office. Mr. Tashoma is a very famous person in the legal community. He served as Attorney General during the Emperor Haile Selassie. So he founded one of the biggest law office in Ethiopia. So unfortunately he passed away in 2017. Then I started my own personal legal practice.
All right.
2017, I was in Italy to do my master's degree in international investment law. So after completing my master's, then I resumed my legal practice based in Addis. So currently, I have a law office. I consult together with my colleagues. I consult both foreign and local companies and individuals, mainly in the investment, business, and corporate law matters. I am a member of the International Bar Association, American Bar Association, and Ethiopian Bar Association.
All right. Investment law is your specialty.
Yes.
So we're talking about Ethiopia. You're practicing law in Ethiopia. So we have this understanding that Ethiopia is this country where it is trying its best to be accommodating in terms of actually inviting investors to come to the country and do business? How do you evaluate the overall situation in relation to actually promoting investment and on the ground practicing what is promoted? Tell me about that practice.
Yeah. So Ethiopia is, under the major the homegrown economic reform plan. Ethiopia is aiming to be one of the countries that are convenient, or maybe I can say welcoming for foreign direct investments.
Yeah.
In order to be in the forefront of this FDI, the government has been reforming the overall legal system,
All right.
starting from the revision of the 60 years old commercial code. Until 2021, we had the 1960 commercial code, and in 2021 that code was revised, which is a major achievement, and a new investment proclamation was issued. A number of sectors which were previously restricted for foreign investment are now open. For instance, in the foreign investors were not able to engage in import and export investment activities. And as you know, the telecom sector, we have now one competitor, which is Safaricom. And Ethiopia is also negotiating with the WTO, World Trade Organization, to join the club. As part of the negotiation, Ethiopia is opening up sectors such as the financial sector, the banking sector. Even if there are detailed requirements, the government has, now allowed foreign to some percentage of interest or shareholding. Foreign banks are now allowed to operate in Ethiopia. So I can say these are one of the major achievements. And if you also consider the one of the paradigm shifts in the foreign, the overall, the forex regulation,
All right.
which was, enacted in August 2024, that literally changed the whole forex regulation. It has been one of highly controlled and extremely regulated sector, which to some extent hindered foreign investment, including the local investors, because access to the foreign currency is crucial. As you know, investors, they don't invest for charitable activities. They don't invest their money out of altruism. At the end of the day, any investor or a business person should get profits and dividends. So to really make this investment environment, the business environment, a number of legal and institutional reforms have been made. However, I can say things were not rosy. Of course, there are challenges still now, bureaucratic challenge.
I was about to ask you.
Yes.
I mean, you mentioned a lot of things, and I want you to actually, first of all, go a bit deeper into maybe the amendment or the revision of the codes. You mentioned the commercial code of the country, which was enacted during the Emperor Haile Selassie. If I remember correctly, the civil code of the country is the same. Is it?
Yes, it was enacted in 1960.
Now amended.
But still, part of the code are revised, but the major part are still effective. Issues such as contracts, succession, property law, administrative law, law of sales. These key aspects of the code are still effective.
So that means we're working using the code as it is.
Yes.
So the thinking of Emperor Haile Selassie or the thinking of the Imperial Majesty, his time is being applied right now.
Absolutely. I mean, contract law, for instance, a contract is an agreement between two parties. You know, constant, you know, the free will of two parties. You don't need any amendment with this. You know, most of the provisions, first of all, these laws are really adopted mainly from France.
Yeah.
It's from civil code.
So is the French civil code amended? Is there any change?
You know, from time to time, whenever it's necessary, they make some amendments.
No, right.
But fundamentally, the fundamental concept, theoretical foundation, and you know, the most important part of the code are still effective.
All right.
For instance, the parts that discuss about family, marriage, husband and wife, have been completely repealed, and we have now new code, family code.
What is the reason?
The reason is because in 1960, for instance, you know, these shimagles or these local family councils, they had a power to make final decision on divorce.
Absolutely.
Now only the court can make decision related to the divorce, and it says some provisions. For instance, husband is the head of the family, and this kind of provisions, they contravene or they are not in line with the constitution we have, which says women and men are equal before marriage, within the marriage, even after the marriage.
Amazing.
So some aspects of, for instance, these family aspects, the family law aspect of the code, the civil code, have been completely repealed and changed with a new family code. However, most part of the code, the civil code, are still functional, and I don't think there is any reason to amend them. Of course, because of the internet, digitalization.
That's the point I wanted to mention.
A number of matters
Yeah.
which are not covered by the civil code. You cover it through a proclamation.
All right.
You know, by the enactment of the parliament. So
Go ahead.
So the commercial code, for instance, for the commercial code, property is divided into two. It is, for instance, when you set up a company, either you contribute cash or some tangible property.
Yeah.
Done. What about if I contribute $1 million software? Software, the concept of software was not known by
Back
the
then,
time.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So these intangible assets, goodwill, trademarks, patents, these are very, very important, valuable aspects of property. We call them, as you know, intellectual properties.
Absolutely.
So when people set up a company, either one person can contribute cash, $1 million cash, $1 million valued asset, and $1 million value of a software. You know, software is a property or a patent, trademark. So this kind of, you know, considerations were not included in the previous law. Matters such as electronic call for shareholders meeting. Like previously, you need to send a written postal document or postal letter to call shareholders meeting. Now we have internet. You can simply, you have the address of the shareholders. You can simply write an email, notify them the date of the meeting is here, you know, those kind of details.
Absolutely.
Even electronic meeting like video conference. Shareholders, they don't have to meet in person to conduct annual general meeting or any special shareholders meetings. So they can conduct the meetings through electronic means. This was not recognized by the previous law. So there was a need to include these kind of matters. Yeah.
All right. Amazing. I'm not a fan of like making everything updated. Like change this law, change
Yeah.
that law,
Yeah.
and do this and do that because of the evolving change in technology. It could be in terms of adopting AI as a mainstream thing. I'm not a fan of that, but my question is: are we keeping up with the world, the other world? What is being practiced in the rest of the world? Are we lagging behind or keeping up? That's the main question I have. And you mentioned a bit about the
Yeah.
bureaucracy that we have in the country. People, I myself get frustrated going to places to actually get services from different places. And your concern is bringing foreign direct investment to Ethiopia and advising people that are coming in to invest in Ethiopia. So if it is really challenging for me to go and get a service from one of the offices, the government offices, because of the bureaucratic red tapes and things of that nature, how do you evaluate or how do you think people coming from outside Ethiopia feel about all these things? We are like, you go to a place and they look at you and you're treated mostly as a suspect of some criminal activity. So how do you think those people coming to Ethiopia to invest feel, if I feel that way in my own country?
Yeah. So I believe there are a number of improvements, especially in digitalization of services.
Yeah.
However, still there are a number of issues that remains to be the challenge of private investors. I think for me is one of the major problem is the mindset, the culture. So at the end of the day, any officer or a brokerage grows in the community.
Yeah.
So the way we see foreigners really matters. Of course, there are local Ethiopians who get permits and who abuse the privilege they are given. At the same time, there are people who abuse the privilege. There are foreigners who, abuse the privilege they get through investment incentives, tax exemptions. The major challenge is the mindset. I think there needs to be done a lot to change that when an investor comes, whether it's a local Ethiopian investor or a foreign investor, when somebody set up a company, he is trying to create jobs.
Yeah.
He is paying 30%. If you set up a company, a PLC, the corporate tax is 30%. So whatever net profit you get, out of that, 30% is directly going to the government.
Yeah.
There is also additional 10% dividend tax. There is value-added tax. So it is, it's beyond your imagination, the benefits. So people who are providing services, especially low-level officers, they should really know that that this investor is coming to do something in this country to add value. Of course, if there are investors who abuse their privilege, they will be accountable according to the laws of the country. This problem is prevalent, especially in regions.
All right.
At the federal level, I believe we have one of the best services. At least the top level management is really cooperative, but still remains. At the end of the day, your factory is not going to be in Addis.
Yeah.
Anyway, your factory, the plants will be in one of the regions.
Yeah.
And the regional governments, they have local administrative powers. And sometimes regional governments interfere in the matter which is not their concern.
Yeah.
Like tax offices, for instance. While your tax center is in the federal government, local Woreda tax or revenue office may come and ask you some, illegal questions, unlawful requests.
Yeah.
So
You're talking about bribe?
Not only that, but they may interfere in jurisdictions that is not given to them according to the law.
Yeah.
For instance, there are, according to the Ethiopian constitution, there are federal matters and there are also regional matters.
No.
For instance, anything related to urban land is administered by the federal lease proclamation, federally enacted law. So regional governments, they cannot just fabricate an urban land lease law type of directives or regulations.
Yeah.
So they cannot just come up with some laws which contravene or which is against the federally designed legal system. So those kind of issues are unacceptable and unconstitutional. And some institutions also may just interfere in the matters. For instance, in criminal investigation, there are matters which are exclusively given to the federal security institutions. So a regional government cannot interfere in those issues. So those kind of things, really frustrates investors.
Yeah.
The investor confidence is the most important thing, whether local or foreign. If there is no certainty or if there is no confidence, if the investor feels that an ordinary officer can just put a notice on the factory that Tashigwal is sealed, then there is no reason to stay in that place.
Yeah.
So it really frustrates potential investors, even deters, future investors potentially investing in Ethiopia. So those kind of things, but lack of understanding, lack of
The mindset.
the mindset
thing. Yeah,
is
absolutely.
crucial. The very important capacity building trainings.
How do you change that? Capacity building trainings can actually contribute something towards
Yes.
improving the system and other
Yes.
things, but I don't think it can address the root issue. The fundamental issue. People have this attitude in Ethiopia. We have this attitude. It's a very nice thing that we don't worship anyone except God. Like anyone comes to Ethiopia, he is equal.
Yeah.
He's like us.
Yes.
That's a very fine thing, a very good thing. But going to other places, like I have this experience, maybe you have this experience as well. In the countries like Southeast Asian countries, you go there, you go there as a tourist. People treat you like a king. You spend not big amount of money. Like it could be in your stay around that area, maybe you may spend $1,000 or $2,000, but the whole time you're respected, you're valued. You see it in the people's face. You see it everywhere. But for an investor coming to Ethiopia, being treated the way that we are treating them, that's somehow frustrating. So how do we change that mindset?
I think institutional reform is also crucial.
Yeah.
For instance, the initiative started by the MASOB, one-stop service. I personally had that experience, to renew licenses. For instance, my attorney license, I get it renewed within a day. I didn't go there. I did it online, tele-sign. I uploaded the tax clearance. I uploaded my picture and the certificate that I have paid the tax to the government. So the next day, my license is renewed through MASOB.
All right.
So I think MASOB was, mainly adopted from Azerbaijan and other countries. There is a very good system called ASAN services. It is the Azaris government one-stop. It's a kind of one-stop service.
All right.
Where you can get your license, your permits, your driving license, passport, everything get renewed within like an hours. So I have also personally experienced that that's a very good service. Those people, in the officers sitting on the desk providing the service are highly trained.
All right.
And I think if the government expands and cuts some unnecessary requirements, one investor when some years back, when we go from office to office, from various offices to get permits, everywhere you go, you have like 10 copies. Copy this, copy that, print. And he said, I think I have to establish a paper
Printing factory.
printing factory
Yeah.
in Ethiopia.
That's a lucrative business.
Yeah, because everybody wants, a copy. And those copies are sometimes unnecessary.
Yeah.
For instance, they ask you for business license and TIN number.
Yeah.
On the business license, you already have the TIN number on the business license.
Yeah.
The business license of a company has almost every fact of the company. Without having TIN number, you cannot have the business license.
Yeah.
Because exactly on the business license, on the top right side, TIN number is already stated. So why would I have to give another copy of tax ID, tax identification number?
Yeah.
So it's like, we think we have so much control when we take all those copies, unnecessary copies. So I think that's one of the things that the government should do. The other thing is, the World Bank do annual doing business report.
Yeah.
They conduct research and they rank countries. So if you go to Rwanda, for instance, like within a day, you can set up your company without even moving to another building. With a single building, you can get your all tax ID, license, and everything. Not only opening a company, closing a company. People don't talk about closure or dissolution of a company. Many people are frustrated to set up a company or to register a company out of fear that they will be unable to close it easily.
You mean in Ethiopia?
In Ethiopia.
Yeah.
So not only opening a company, but also closing a company should also be very easy. And the fact on the ground is so difficult to get the tax clearance to close down your own company. Takes months, if not years. So why would you set up a company? Because you are imposing a very huge risk on you by just setting up a company. If the business is not feasible, if you are bankrupt, if your purpose is not achievable, you cannot just simply close down a company. Oh my God! You have to hire auditor, publishing, following up at the tax office. There is also a thing called cash registration machine, which is obsolete. In other countries, there is no this. Using this machine has become, backward because they use a software. They have replaced it through other software.
All right.
So, for instance, a software graduate who is planning to set up a very small company to design software to sell it, instead of waiting for the government to give him a job, this guy has computer, laptops, has access to the internet.
Yeah.
And you ask him to rent an office space, like Salasa Shi, 30,000 per month office space. This young man has only like maybe $1,000.
Yeah.
You request him to rent an office space, a physical office space in one of the buildings that we have in Addis. In other countries, he can just use even virtual address.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you have your FIDA, your fingerprint, all your biodata has been taken. You are not going to run anywhere because the very reason why a physical address is requested is for inspection.
Yeah.
Whether this man will, hide the business, whether, especially for tax purposes.
Yeah.
I have a very good office. I can simply write to any relevant government institution that I am going to host him at my office and give him a tax ID. No, he can't get that. He
Yeah.
has to get an office space, office lease agreement in his name. Not only an agreement, that agreement should be notarized, authenticated at the documents authentication and the registration office. Imagine the time that it takes for this man to set up a company.
Yeah.
So coming to the World Bank, I think the government should do more in ease of doing business, because we are still, even if, as I've said, there are so many improvements, still we are not on the top list even by African standard.
All right.
So a number of policy measures, legal and institutional improvements and reforms should be done in order to make Ethiopia an ideal country for foreign investment.
All right.
Yeah.
You mentioned about accession to WTO.
Yeah.
What's the benefit?
So the benefits is there are arguments, but you will join the market of billions of people.
All right.
It will create a very good image for Ethiopia, that being member to this country, to this organization, will create a very good image to Ethiopia, towards foreign investment. So a foreign investor, if you compare having the same tax treatment assumed, having the same privilege, the foreign investor will definitely choose the one that is member of the WTO than the one that's not member to the club, because first of all, there are some guarantees, investment guarantees, international trade guarantees
All right.
provided by the organization. There are dispute settlement mechanisms. There are protections against this expropriation
All right.
and nationalization. So and sectors will also be one of the reasons that we made a lot of reforms in the past few years is to be admitted to the WTO, because unless, if the Kenyan market is open, if the Kenyan wholesale business sector is open for an Ethiopian businessman, then the Ethiopian wholesale business sector should also be open for a Kenyan businessman. It is a kind of reciprocal.
All right.
So it's not something that you take from others and you don't want to give, So basically, it will open more access to trade to Ethiopian products. So if you're a member, then there won't be, restrictions, quotas, and tariff on your products,
All right.
at least to some extent. So that will really create a number of opportunities, but this doesn't mean that everything should be opened, like Souk Wadarati, very small street business
Yeah.
should be open for foreigners, because there should also be, the law should also protect the local businesses,
Yeah.
very small scale local business. Fundamentally, foreigners should be encouraged to invest in areas where Ethiopian investors or Ethiopian businessmen cannot enter.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it has taken a while. Like, I remember
Very long time.
during our time in law school, this was one of
The issues.
The issues. Like, we discussed about WTO accession
Yes.
now and then, and one course comes saying again there is a part about WTO accession, Ethiopia going to the World Trade Organization and stuff like that. But it is not happening. It's still. Do we have any kind of, prospect?
We have been negotiating for over 20 years.
Wow.
One of the major reasons was that Ethiopia was not ready to open up some critical sectors, like for instance, the financial, telecom sectors.
Yeah.
You know.
Those are open now.
Now the government has shown or has taken some tangible measures,
Yeah.
commitments in opening these sectors. That's why, the pace of the negotiation is not like the past years.
Yeah.
So the pace has been very fast, and there are some, comments from people who are close to the negotiating team. Ethiopia will be joining by maybe the coming 2 years. Will be part of this international trade organization. So the pace, the past 3 years, the pace has been very fast, and the government has shown a very, very serious commitment.
Yeah. Right.
And that's why the negotiations have been, been smooth.
Okay.
But part of the problem is that you are negotiating with every country. So every country in the organization has the right to raise questions.
Oh, you're not negotiating with the organization itself.
Yeah.
Uh,
The organization has, of course, roles.
So-
But every member country,
Countries have vetting power.
Yes.
They vet.
no, they have the right to raise questions, challenges. One of the major challenges has been, for instance, is when are you going to open the financial sector?
It's open.
Yeah. So this was one of the reasons why why the negotiations were delayed. But now many countries are also supporting Ethiopia, and Ethiopia is too big to ignore.
Yeah.
We against all these issues, the business opportunities,
Yeah.
the 130 million people, the weather, the labor, the consumer, it's unbelievable. So no sane country can ignore Ethiopia's huge potential
Yeah.
and huge market potential. So that's why many countries are really supporting
All right.
Ethiopia's succession. Yeah.
Amazing. How's practicing corporate law in Ethiopia? Is it like in the Western countries? What are some of the features that you enjoy and you don't?
Yeah. So traditionally, the Ethiopian legal service is equivalent to litigation.
All right. Yeah.
If somebody calls you tabaka, then tabaka, the literal meaning is litigant.
Yeah, you litigate.
Yes.
You litigate.
So that's why, like I can say, 90% of our lawyers are litigation lawyers.
Yeah.
So the concept and the practice of the corporate investment transactional legal practice is very new in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
And you get very few law firms and individual lawyers who engage in legal consultancy aspect of legal service.
Yeah.
So for an investor coming to invest or for a joint venture company, it could be like $2 billion, $3 billion. For instance, the Dangote fertilizer company, they signed a joint venture, a joint investment agreement to engage in the fertilizer production sector. So this involves huge task of legal services, like millions of dollars of legal service, because you review a number of documents, supply documents, corporate documents, loan agreements, shareholders agreements, international trade and supply agreements, property, tax, insurance, all these areas are the major areas of corporate legal practice. So it's a new sector, I can say, because as our economy was closed. You cannot have a good corporate lawyer without corporation.
Yeah.
As you know, we were in the command economy during the DERG, then during the transitional government, and even until the recent developments, typically the EPRDF ideologues, they are more of coming from the communist orientation, and that is more of the involvement of the government in the economy is huge. So the possibility of having a very strong private sector was not that much. So the more sectors are open, the more the more the private sector will have bigger role in the economy, the more you need the service of a corporate lawyer. So recently there has been a serious and visible change. In fact, one of the major problem that we see is, especially in big public-private partnerships agreements, in the big negotiations, infrastructural development negotiations, we really need more Ethiopian lawyers, especially in the corporate and transactional lawyers, to really, defend the nation's interest. At the same time, to make the investment, the FDI, very smooth. So I really enjoy working in this sector. As I said, Mr. Tashoma was my mentor, and I was fortunate enough to work in his law office. And he used to advise Boeing, for instance, for instance, aircraft purchase agreements, financing agreements, aviation law, very rare aspects of legal service, like mining law. It's a different world. Aviation law, energy and construction law is a different world. So law, as we know it, as a general practitioner, I don't think that will be the future, because you really need specialization. The person who does not have a very good understanding of accounting, basic fundamentals of accounting, cannot be a very good tax lawyer. Just because you know the laws, it doesn't mean that you understand the rationale. So you really need some basic understanding of accounting and finance in order to be a very good tax lawyer. And at the same time, you need to have some medical clue in order to be a very good medical malpractice lawyer.
All right.
So those kind of areas, I think law schools are expanding, and there are a number of postgraduate studies, and with the expansion of law firms also, because there is now a very good legal framework to that enabled lawyers to set up LLP, limited liability partnership, as a law firm. And those law firms, I'm sure they will have a very good experience, and those lawyers who practice in those law firms will definitely have a very good understanding of the legal system. And more lawyers in the Ethiopian associations, legal, bar association, are becoming members of International Bar Association, East African Lawyers Association, and the Pan-African Lawyers Association. So there is, some interactions with international, international legal societies.
All right.
That will definitely give more exposures to Ethiopian lawyers to really understand and share experience from other jurisdictions.
All right. Amazing. How afraid are you of AI?
Honestly, I have positive attitude about it. At the same time, it frustrates me. The challenge will be, AI is really making things so easy that, the human.
Absolutely. Yeah. The reason I'm asking you this question is you mentioned about fertilizer company Dangote, and you've been talking about documents that you review and
Yes,
you go
yes,
through.
yes.
Now AI can do all those
Yes.
labors
Yeah,
in
yes.
maybe in 30 minutes
Yes,
or
yes.
25 minutes.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
everything that you've been doing will be obsolete.
Yeah. So I mean, it's all about being smart.
All right.
So there are areas or aspects of the legal service which cannot be replaced
Yeah.
by AI, like negotiation. Of course, the contract may be reviewed, or even a new shareholders agreement. AI can give me, like, within few minutes or seconds. AI can give me a very comprehensive shareholders agreement or investment agreement. But the content itself, the way you draft the contract it really matters, because
You mean the AI cannot draft it the way you can draft it, or any
Yeah, but-
capable lawyer can draft it?
yeah, but the client that you represent, which side are you? Because whenever you draft contracts, you make sure that your client is protected.
So you give
And
you
some-
give it a prompt.
I know, but after that, even assuming that the contract is properly drafted, then the AI may miss the jurisdictions. Like Ethiopian law is the civil law. As you know, there are two major laws.
Yeah.
There is a common law system, mainly the US and Britain.
Yeah.
And the dominant one, the continental or the civil law, is dominantly, and the Ethiopian law is mainly from the civil law. So, of course, you can ask the AI to give you that, but ultimately, it cannot sit in the negotiation table to negotiate, because
It is not expected to sit on the table. Like a layman can have a very good understanding of writing a prompt.
Yeah.
That prompt can actually enable the layman with an answer, a comprehensive answer, and will give him the details of the matter.
Yeah.
Then that person can argue, or that person can actually be confident to tell his story or defend his position, because he's supported by an entity that actually researches across the board, across the globe. And the other person who is actually on the opposite side, if he's not using AI, he's only arguing using the knowledge that he has, the very limited knowledge that he has. So I'm really scared of this thing sometimes,
Yeah.
thinking about
It
it.
really makes people, I don't know, maybe you cannot be creative, maybe you can be lazy, maybe, but like court litigation, for instance, we don't have to forget that contract drafting is one aspect of legal service.
Yeah, it drafts it.
But actual litigation, standing in front of the judge, defending your position, and like company incorporation, for instance, services, going here and there, signing those documentations. Of course, in preparation of documentation,
Yeah.
in drafting and reviewing documents, AI might help, but there are areas where AI cannot address. But still, it's going to be a very big challenge unless there is a way from this, the innovators of the AIs themselves. But there is a saying in Amharic. Yeah, so you can't just sit idle out of fear of AI. There might be change. In every century, in every decade, there have been a number of changes in the past decade, 20, 30 years. So I think the human brain is amazing, and I believe in the immense creativity of the human person, and I think they will have a solution, because even in the US, for instance, one of the Democratic Party leaders who has been, I think, Bernie Sanders,
All right.
one time he was saying, especially losing jobs, if the AI is driving the vehicles,
Yeah.
like the big, what do you call, trucks,
Yeah.
a number of people, individuals are going to lose their job. And what's your plan for them? I mean, so there should be,
America seems to have this plan. They call it universal basic income.
yeah,
I heard it the first time from the billionaire himself,
Yeah.
Elon Musk. So they have, I mean, every point that you're trying to mention, glorification of these professions like being a lawyer, being a medical doctor, being this and that profession. Now, for me, if we're not flattering each other, they can be replaced.
yeah,
I mean, a friend of mine who didn't go to any of these schools gives me a research as comprehensive, as detailed, as meticulous as it can be done about any of these areas. Like he was telling me about a contract law. He was telling me about regulations and all these things. So what we have to do, I believe, is think of the way out. Who am I going to be in all this sophistications, in all this quagmire coming here and there? So that's how we should be thinking about it. But I mean, think about it, Kiya. During the time you were in law school, I was in law school, we had idols. For example, the guy that you mentioned, Ato Tashoma, or
yeah,
these were, I mean, big individuals,
guys, yes.
big individuals that you respected. But now, at this time, if you compare whatever knowledge they have with what AI can give you,
of course.
you would be like, what the
That's,
hell?
I mean, that's unbelievable.
I know that's what I'm actually trying to emphasize on. But countries in the third world, like Ethiopia or African countries, I believe will have time, sometime. But
Yeah.
we have leapfrogged.
Yes.
We are whatever is happening in terms of that technology in the US or in countries, the common law countries that you mentioned,
Yeah.
like England or America, is happening here today.
Yeah.
How they write a prompt,
Yes.
we write it too.
Yes.
So I'm really confused about this.
Yeah. It's really confusing. I mean, the most important thing is to really know what you ask. And, sometimes you don't really go against the tide. Now, we are in this situation. In this, the objective reality is that we are in this decade.
Yeah.
So this thing is going to either you don't just reject it, you don't just ban it, you embrace it in a way that really helps your context.
All right.
So context is crucial. So I think the way we ask might be crucial at this time, and there should be some protection also from not only AI but also my major concern is data protection.
Yeah.
Now almost everyone has Facebook, so people don't really have very minimal digital literacy.
Yeah.
So all their age, name, family member, pictures, everything is online.
Yeah.
So you think you own that data? No, the company that gave you that media freely
The
owns
platform.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you don't know whether that person, that company will sell your data or not. It's a new gold mine, data.
They sell it
Exactly.
in all kind of ways.
Yeah. So there should be some kind of very strong regulatory framework, institution that really supervise or regulate data collectors and the processors. By the way, there is a new data protection law 2024 issued in June 2024, and according to that law, all data collectors and the processors must get registered at the Ethiopian Communication Authority. For instance, an e-commerce company, the company really knows not only your compound but also your door. Abraham's door, because the delivery company will definitely have your name, your address, your location, everything.
Yeah.
Okay, what if this company sells that data to some other, third parties, institutions, individuals that may pose a threat to your life or whatever?
Yeah.
So especially sensitive data, those who collect sensitive data, they have to be regulated properly. And this ECL institution, the Ethiopian Communication Authority, I think they have been saying they're going to have the a new directive, but until now that law has not been properly implemented. So not only AI, but also the data that, it really frustrates me, because people don't really have the impact of posting everything on the social media, whether TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. They have literally the pictures of your kids, your address, your date of birth, and each and every activity that you do each day, they have it.
Yeah.
So you don't know how they are going to use that. Not only data processors and collectors, but also, government should also, and the private sector also should work on data sovereignty.
Yeah. It's just about the dopamine rush that you get from doing posting a picture or interacting with individuals is the only thing that you think about next to the money that you might get out of the interaction or the posting that you do. So having that analytical, maybe having that understanding of the details, the intricacies, is it requires next level thinking.
Yes.
Some guy or some kid with an iPhone trying to impress his peers. If he is requested to write any kind of thing or give away any kind of information about himself or herself, you never think that this person can actually be disciplined enough to think that my data can be taken away.
Yes.
And people can sell it or misuse it in a way they want.
Yeah.
Nobody can think of those, consequences or the harmful effects that can come after that. So it's a very, tough time that we are in. Yeah. But coming to Ethiopia, because this is our country, we're concerned about the development and everything that we have in here. You started talking about the mindset of the people that are giving the service. Don't you think if we can replace everyone, like if everything is automated or if everything is delivered by machines, do you think the machines could imitate us? Like they could be bureaucratic too? Don't you think that's one of the best solutions?
No, I think there is also a policy objective from government, because one of the reasons that you have those people is, to create some opportunities for those individuals.
Yeah.
So if you replace all those people, first of all, you cannot guarantee the outcome, because the outcome might be, as bureaucratic as the individuals, because ultimately there might be a need for some personal services. For instance, if you're like a foreign investor trying to invest in Ethiopia, the first thing you do is you ask for the potentials. Somebody in the investment promotion should really tell you in person. So your question might be on range of issues.
Yeah.
So those kind of issues must be addressed by the individuals themselves, not just the machine cannot give you all that service. Secondly, in the employment opportunity, if you literally replace those people, it would be...
Assuming universal basic income is happening for everyone.
Yeah, but that would make... I don't really encourage that, because the human nature, the human mind must be must be, the human person must really engage itself in some practical things.
That's a bondage.
You just have to engage yourself on some kind of activities.
Why?
A person who
Why?
a person who is not engaged in some form of activities. Maybe if you just give them the money, oh, okay,
They can follow their passion.
I mean,
What are you
they spend
passionate
it
about? For
they
example?
spend it. Your assumption is that these people are rational, so they know how properly they use their money.
Yeah.
These guys, they spend it on maybe alcohols or something
No.
because they have plenty of time. They spend in some.
You be responsible about how you conduct yourself. Like, you cannot be a harm to,
That's
you cannot bring a
very
harm to society.
theoretical.
Listen, it's not
Yes.
theoretical. Let me give you a scenario, a very simple one. You got your money. So the reason that you go to these places to work, I appreciate people being employed, working. That's a very good thing, especially for a country like ours. Like, we're poor. We're trying to develop. It's a must, but everyone has a passion about something. Some people want to talk about football all day long.
Yeah.
Some people want to play football all day long. And some people have the interest to draw some kind of picture, I don't know. But that cannot give them any kind of income, or that cannot sustain their life, or that cannot sustain their family's life. So they cannot pursue it. But now they can have an income from whatever organization that we could assume can be established. They can get the money. Now they can follow their passion. For example, what is Kiya passionate about? Kiya travels. Kiya really likes traveling. I know you. So you can travel with the money. That's a passion. You can see places. You can tell me about Sofia or the places.
But this again, this is in the assumption that these people really know their passion. The passion could also be spending a lot of time in groceries or some areas which are not good for human health.
Drinking or things like that?
Yeah, but a person who is not engaged professionally naturally will stay at home or somewhere, and definitely, you remember the COVID time?
Yeah.
People were staying at home, they get their salaries, but there was, it was reported that a number of girls were abused and harassed, raped sometimes. So, and even the arguments with spouses,
I know.
sometimes so, I mean, especially for us in the developing society, I think, I believe there is so much extra, employment or employees, unnecessary employments in government, in civil service sector, because the thing that is done by one person may have employed like 5 people in that position. I believe it has to be digitalized. Maybe consolidated to 2 people or 3 people, and you give those people very good, decent salary. That is very, very aspect of good service. By the way, employees' satisfaction is very crucial for proper service delivery. So instead of having 10 people, who are not efficient, you may have to have like 5 people, very good incentives, very good salary, effective, well-trained, 5 individuals instead of having like 10 average guys. So you can that way you can really achieve proper and efficient service delivery for people. I think Maso could be a very good model. We will see, because with, for instance, renewal of passport, renewal of driving license, maybe you can try it.
I've been there.
I was very, very happy with,
I've been
their
there.
service.
Yeah.
And as they expand to regions,
I know.
it also cuts, the middleman,
All right.
the brokers, even bribes.
I understand.
Human contact is very highly reduced. So their orientation itself is not you are hired or employed here to serve people. So that orientation is very, very important. So your achievement, your KPI performance is measured in terms of providing smooth, efficient services to customers.
All right.
Not like having or showing a very good report, which was a trend.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's
Yeah.
a human that we are talking about.
Yeah.
You cannot edit the guy out. You cannot.
Yes.
I mean, format the guy.
Yes,
The guy is the guy, but
Yes.
they can be trained to be better.
Sure.
But what I'm trying to say is, I'm not against people having a job.
I know, I understand.
I'm not against people
Understand.
being employed, getting earning some kind of money
Yeah.
so that they can support themselves, their family, and their country. But with the advancement of technology, we're talking about AI today. I mean, it was strange to talk about it 3 years back, like 4 years,
Absolutely.
2020.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
nobody knew about it.
Exactly.
So what I'm really concerned about is now we don't have any time to think about, like, we
Absolutely.
have time so we can sort it out and the problem can be addressed in this and that way. No, we are facing it the same way that the developed world is facing it, like the US and the European country as a places.
Yeah.
So that is the reason why I'm mentioning all these points.
Absolutely.
I don't enjoy being theoretical about
I know, I
issues.
know. Those are valid points. I mean, you raise those things, in a kind of imagination. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's good, but at the same time dangerous. Not only dangerous for us, but also even I think last week or 10 days back, I saw a news that the Google company is reconsidering or researching about the importance of AI because they are also evaluating the adverse effect of AI on the overall population, the economy, and everything. So it's really disrupting.
Yeah,
So of course we have to catch up. We don't have any choice.
absolutely.
There should be legal framework, policy framework, and I believe small-scale IT companies should really be empowered to train or to provide trainings for, on basic digital literacy,
Absolutely.
which includes a very basic understanding or training on AI. We don't have to forget its benefits also, honestly speaking, in the health sector. And as much as we challenge its adverse effects,
Absolutely.
AI has also brought about
Definitely.
a number of benefits.
Yeah.
So I think it's all about striking the balance. Striking the balance.
One last thing. I mean, you're a lawyer, a very distinguished one. I had the chance to work with you. You're amazing. If you were asked not to think like a lawyer, but find a solution for tomorrow, like an individual who is aware about what is happening in the world, I mean, in terms of technology, in terms of what is happening in regards to AI, what would be one solution that you have people should actually adopt? Or what would be one skill that you suggest people should have, people in this country?
It's a very difficult question, but I think I am more of a person of action.
Yeah.
I really don't like too much words, but even when my clients ask
You've been everywhere in the media.
getting things done. When, if you are my client, the moment you tell me your needs, from that moment, what I think is, how do I get this thing done? So I think our work discipline is very, very important, because so many people really comment the work ethic.
Yeah.
Are we paid equivalent to the work we deliver? Like the efficiency and the time wasted in, of course, people should relax. Leisure is important, but the work ethic, especially the delivering something tangible on the ground. You may philosophize,
All right.
you may talk some ideal things. The Chinese changed their country because of their pragmatism. So for an idealist, he has like 1,000 ideas to change this country had it not been for the government, or had it not been somebody or his neighbor. But that person, house is very dirty. And maybe he has not cleaned his plate, or his compound is dirty. He has not taken a very small changes that he should do, but he has an idea to change the world. So unless you change something around you, yourself, unless you are a man of action, a person of action, or someone pragmatic, it is really difficult to change a society, if I get your point.
All right, definitely.
So for me, pragmatism is very, very important. Ideology is good, but that ideology you choose from here and there. If it fits, then that ideology works. There is a very famous saying by Deng Xiaoping,
No.
who was the Chinese leader in the 1970s.
No.
He's the reason and the foundation of the current China that we see.
No.
He said it was a deviation from a typical communist state. He said our economy is open for private investment. Our politics might be centralized, but our economy is open. That is, very odd. Like when you are a communist state, the economy is command, highly centralized. The government plans production, distribution, everything. But this guy came, he said, it doesn't matter whether the cat is black or white, as far as it catches the mouse.
As long as the mouse is caught, yeah.
Exactly. So even for Ethiopia, we really have to focus on something concrete, some tangible changes that we do to our people. We don't have to expect everything from the government. We really need to take some, if there is some failures, for instance, around us, if there is a breakdown of a water pipe, as a citizen, I have to take some practical actions to get that thing fixed, to take some practical actions. So too much talk will not change a society. Talk is good, discussion is good, but we really need to focus on the practice, on the practical actions. That will change the society.
I like action. That's amazing.
Yes.
Kiya, thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing everything that you shared with us. And it's been amazing having this time with you.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the discussion.
All right.
I hope we will meet again.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for having me
All right.
again.